Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the season finale of Smoke, Mirror, Mirror. Before I jump into my review, check out my Instagram. I could really use the followers to help me do more things for the channel. I do celebrity interview clips there. I have movie reviews as well. It's a lot of fun, so make sure to give it a follow. And check out my interview with Jurnee Smollett, who plays Michelle Calderone. It's a really fun time. I hope you guys like if you haven't seen it already. So with this episode, the moment you see Michelle on the screen, she's thinking about what she did to Steve. But what I love the show does about these moments is it's showing you there's not really guilt there. It's more of her missing Steve, but there's not this like self-actualization happening of how awful what she did. She's able to push it away, and that's a theme you see going on with Freddie and with Dave. And this finale does so effectively is it connects what it's been doing all season, Dave, Michelle, and Freddie. And in particular, the end of this season has done really well is get Michelle to that level. That's more of the surprise of it, where we know where Dave was going and getting to that Freddie level, but Michelle coming into that fold and revealing more and more about her. And where it's really showing you that is so much of Michelle in this episode is played under Freddie's theme. This Freddie theme has always been that moment of ecstasy around fire, and you're seeing that Dave embraces that fully this episode, and so does Michelle. They all love fire and have a relationship with it. Now we see the gruesome corpse of Steve, which was really heavy to see. But I will say it's a little strange looking back at the season that we did not meet Michelle's mother, that they had this whole storyline of her not wanting her to come out of prison. She gets out of prison. We don't even see her once. I thought that was very strange. It was effective as a tool to be this looming presence in Michelle's life, part of her backstory she doesn't want to face, but to not see her at all with all the screen time we've been given talking about the mom coming out of jail was a little odd. And I think to get that payoff of showing that looming presence around Michelle but never seeing it kind of felt a little flat. Now, this new police crew will take over the Dave Gudsen investigation. Of course, Dave is the main suspect here because Steve Burke was going after him and now he's dead. But you see, Ezra even admits, like, it can't be Dave. I saw him the whole time at his house. So that's already Dave's alibi there. And it's so interesting that Dave, when he sees on the TV that Burke was killed, he's like, I'm going to be framed. I'm basically saying he's screwed. But his ex-wife, Reba, will not be his alibi, which I thought was so funny. But you got to look from her perspective. She'll do a lot of dark things, but she's not just going to throw away everything she has with her family just to save Dave's butt here. Now, what's wild is when Michelle actually goes to the site of Steve's house, and Harvey goes to protect her from the sight of Steve himself, and him having no clue that Michelle is the arsonist. But from a distance, she will see that the neighbor has a camera pointing directly where she was when she was leaving. So this is a huge issue. Now, is it a little easy that this is just cleared up? Why even introduce this, right? It adds suspense, and I think the suspense was very effective, especially with the music. So I get it, but it's so easily cleaned up with her brother Benji just pretending he's a detective, calling the neighbor to show up later, then deleting the footage off of the feed. But it is interesting to see that Benji smiles at this. Like, he knows Michelle did this, and he's okay with it. So you just see how messed up this whole family is, and it even goes to Benji. I mean, this guy is also not shown as a good person with all the things he's doing in the background, and even when he's doing these chicken fights and stuff like that. Now, when Dave shows up to work, the first question he asks Harvey is, when can I get my car back? Talking about his totaled car. Of course, now looking back into the episode, he'd ask about that because he knows that's that one thing that could trap him, and that's where he got caught at the end of the day. And having his clothes in the bottom of his car and Ezra and Dawn finding that was the big thing that actually would get Dave locked up. With everything they set up with him with the story, even the DNA and the gloves, they're showing you that it wouldn't have been enough to get someone like Dave at the end of the day, especially because he's so good at talking out of things and denying things. So that is moment of getting caught red-handed. And it really did a good job this episode of showing you the true heroes of this story are Ezra, Dawn, and Harvey. And even though Harvey does some messed up things, Harvey taking from the top isn't something that I'm like, okay, really that mad about. You know, he's Robin Hooding it a bit, so not a big deal to me. I think they were showing that was just going to be used as a form for blackmail for Dave. As we see, he literally says, if I go down, you go down. But I love Harvey says back, take your best shot. You killed a kid. And saying things like that, killing a kid, really puts home not just to Dave, but to the audience, how messed up these things these arsonists do. Now, talking about things from earlier in the season, though, having last episode this big kind of build up of Dave targeting Ashley and his stepson didn't really go anywhere either. So that was a little bit of a letdown as well. This is more of my criticisms of season whole setups with payoffs later on. It didn't really fulfill itself. But as what this episode is on its own, a lot of stuff I liked here. Now, Michelle comes in to Dave and talks about Donald from the book again. And you see that Dave is like, Donald lights these fires, not Dave. And it's just going to this theme this episode really leans into in a big reveal later on, which we're going to get to about how Dave sees himself not as he actually is, and he's seeing himself as a hero. Now, what's interesting is they almost set up something you would see in like a season 2 where another fire is called in and a lab caught on fire. And now this is like an advanced arsonist where this is someone who's able to light a fire from probably, they said, even someplace like Paris. They're doing this through security systems online, which I thought was interesting. And the big moment, though, is the fire caused at the sawmill. We get this long aerial shot to show that. And this is where we see all the smokes on the horizon. So this sets up Dave driving Michelle towards it. We finally get to hear Dave's story of when he first saw a fire. He was 12 years old, and his neighbor down the street, their house went on fire, and he said the flames were like they were turning to God. And this is where the Freddy theme is playing, and he points out the beauty of the big smoke clouds on the horizon. He says, anything that could kill us like that we should hate. But do you hate fire? Michelle says no, and he says you might even love it. And you could see in her eyes and the great acting by Jurnee Smollett, she does. So you're seeing this moment of them bonding on something they have in common. And you see the song playing in the background. It has lyrics, can we make each other happy? This is going to get payoff by the end of the episode, but you're seeing that bond they share, whether Michelle wants to admit it or not, about their love for fire and being arsonists. And Dave drives them straight into the fire. Michelle puts a gun on his head. He turns, they crash, and Michelle is alive, like the Terminator here, still standing in front of Dave. She puts that hair up. That's what I asked her about in the interview I did with her, so it's cool to see it come full circle that you know stuff's going to go down then. Shoots up his car, slams him into the car, and puts a gun in his mouth, but arrests him. Now, it could be seen as really silly, this scene, because of them just standing in this forest fire and the fire not really spreading around them and how bad the air quality would be. But I think the license here of this dreamy sequences we've seen in the show and putting it here in this big moment, I'm okay with it. I think it works in this show because we've already seen scenes like this before in the show. So it adds to a big epic finale, so I'm fine with it. But I could see the argument of why someone might be frustrated with it, where it's just over the top. Now, when she arrests Dave and brings him into the station, we see this theme that's been through the show about posing as a hero. And you see Michelle's walking him into the police station looking like a hero. She caught this guy. And we've seen her pose like this before with the Doomsdayer when she faked that, all of that, and people are celebrating her. And we've seen Dave pose as a hero like when he caught Freddy the arsonist and people not knowing he's an arsonist himself at the party. Now we'll see Steve appears to Michelle in the bathroom as a ghost. This is representing the panic in her head of getting caught. I don't know how I feel about this in this sense of we're this late in the game, the show now, we're introducing this trope of someone who died talking to them now. I thought that, you know, maybe there was a better way you could have handled this. I don't know exactly how, because it is effective in the sense of showing her panic, but I don't know. But again, not showing much guilt there. They're showing her more panicking about getting caught, which is important because I really think the show does a good job of showing you that with Dave, Michelle, and Freddy. They're not showing you to have empathy towards these people. They're showing you these are people that are upset about ways they were wronged and justifying their actions by it. And it sticks true to that till the end. So I like that clear vision in the show and message. So Michelle gets to interrogate Dave now. And again, I love seeing how clever Dave is. Even Michelle giving these great arguments against him and evidence he's just able to talk his way out of it. This guy really doesn't even need a lawyer. And props to Taron Egerton and Jurnee Smollett in the scene. Just great acting all around. There's an important line where Michelle says, "Do you think you deserve to be loved, Dave?" He says, "I didn't make me. If somebody installs faulty brakes in a car and the car crashes, is it the car's fault?" She says, "Cars do not have choice." But this is where Dave justifies against that argument of humans having choice, saying we act out of appetite. Is appetite a choice? So you can go down this rabbit hole of debate, right? And justification of your actions. But I think the show is obviously showing you these aren't accurate ways of thinking of life and humanity and can cause people to do things that are awful and justify them this way and see themselves still as the hero. She says to him, "When you look in the mirror, do you see yourself or do you see Donald?" This is where the big reveal is right on cue. He looks in his reflection and we see now the real Dave. This is the big reveal of the episode, and it's confirmed the real Dave is the one with the receding hairline because he's shown in the photos that Ashley and his stepson are throwing out as that. So we've been seeing the hero Dave in his head the whole show from his perspective. And it's interesting because once Dave is caught red-handed with the clothes in the car, this is where he's able to really reflect on his two-personality life because he's got nothing to lose now. He's caught. Even though there's this trail of still denial there, I think by the end, in that moment, the last shot, he's fully embracing the real him. And they've both had this hero complex of masking their evil selves. And he says in his true self form at the end, looking at Michelle, I know who I am. She says, so do I. So there's your mirror, mirror. Not only the mirror reflection of Dave seeing the real Dave now, it's Michelle seeing her real self in Dave. And they're looking deep into each other's souls while the lyrics in the song playing, my heart is full of love. So there's love there, that they have that connection. These are two arsonists looking at each other. And this would also fit Freddy there as well. That's the whole connection between these three characters, which I think is very, very effective in the show. I think it turned a lot of people off the show that there's not many characters to root for. I think they're trying to fill that in with Dawn, Ezra, and Harvey here, like I said, being the true heroes of the story. And I think that's proven here. I was fine with it. I never felt that issue, in my opinion, watching this, that I needed someone totally to root for. I think we had enough of Michelle rooting for her, and then it being revealed that she's just like Freddy and Dave in her own way. It's fine. I think we got enough of rooting for her that I didn't feel like it was such a turnoff that I felt like everyone was hateable here. I just didn't feel that way. That was really interesting in the character study of everybody and these arsonists. And I really thought overall it was a very effective finale. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was an awesome ending scene. So I'm going to give it a 9. I think that looking at the season as a whole, there's stuff that was set up that really didn't get payoff that much. And I would have liked to see more of Michelle's mom if you're going to give her so much of a preamble. And I would have also liked to see maybe something happen more with Dave's wife and stepson, because they were also given a lot of screen time and a setup here of him threatening him. So might have even used another episode here. But I really enjoyed it. I think thematically it knocked out of the park at the end, and acting-wise was great. Music was great. And I'm satisfied with our main character's journey, so I'm going to give it a 9. I really enjoyed doing these reviews with you guys. I hope the show gets more acclaim. I feel like people have been way too hard on it. I've really enjoyed it throughout, so let me know your final opinions on this episode and the season. Please sub so you don't miss one of my reviews of other shows I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing Chief of War soon, and the new show Task on HBO, which I'm very excited about, so make sure to stay around and follow me on Instagram at Steve Varley Show. It can help so much, and check out my interview with Jurnee Smollett. And I'll see you next time.